the decision to jump. Those images remain seared in my memory to this day, as they do for many of us. We will soon observe the 20th anniversary of the Tuesday that transformed our nation so profoundly that it is known most commonly by its date, 9/11, like December 7, 1941, Pearl Harbor, or November 22, 1963, the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The 9/11 attacks changed the way we fly, protect our borders, investigate crime, and gather government information. They changed the way we organize the federal government itself, the economy, and even the way we watch the news on television. The nonstop news ticker screen crawl was born to handle the torrent of information that day. The 9/11 attacks shook the American psyche, too, in ways that continue to reverberate. It had been nearly 60 years since the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and for the first time in the lives of most Americans, we had to struggle with the realization that we were no longer safe from attack by a foreign entity within the borders of the United States. This altered our expectations of what our government can and cannot do for us. It affected our politics. It challenged our conception of ourselves as the world's most open society. It's been nearly 2 decades since 9/11, and I believe it's time to take stock of those changes, to identify which policies that were put in place back then still work and which ones need to be fixed. In those early days after the attacks, decisions were made and laws were passed that were the result of fear, lack of information, and often a sincere desire to ensure that kind of attack would never happen again. It's time to look at those decisions in light of the country we are today and to address the new threats that have arisen in the nearly 2 decades since the attacks. Think of this book as an American report card. What has worked and what has not? What are the social, political, and economic costs of that progress? Where are our biggest vulnerabilities today, and how do we repair them? What are the risks we must accept if we are to remain a free and open society? What should government do for us, and what must each of us do for ourselves and our neighbors in the event of an emergency? Most importantly, are we safer and more resilient today than we were on September 11, 2001? One of the biggest changes resulting from 9/11 was the creation of the Department of Homeland Security in early 2003. The job of the department is broad: to protect the nation's air, land, and sea borders, and to manage our immigration system and oversee the federal government's resources for responding to disasters of all types. Unlike the Department of Defense, which was created after World War II, the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, is primarily a civilian agency. It has domestic law enforcement and intelligence gathering functions, in addition to its global responsibilities. And it is enormous. DHS is the 3rd largest agency in the federal government, behind the Departments of Defense and Veterans Affairs, with 240,000 employees. I was the 3rd Secretary of Homeland Security, after Tom Ridge and Michael Chertoff, and the first to be appointed by President Barack Obama. I came to the cabinet in 2009, leaving as governor of Arizona during my 2nd term and following my career in law enforcement, including stints as Arizona's Attorney General and as U.S. Attorney for the District of Arizona. I left the administration late in 2013 to become president of the University of California, proud of the considerable progress we'd made at DHS in a relatively short time to improve border security, transportation security, and the government's abilities to respond to emergencies of all types. The 9/11 attacks were as close to a decapitating attack on the United States government as we have seen, and they laid bare the shortcomings of our government to protect us in the age of terror. Over the past 15 years, through Republican and Democratic administrations alike, We have come a long